Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today I want to share with you some book recommendations I have gotten from my mom. So, in honor of Mother's Day today, I thought it would be fitting that I share with you some book recommendations that I've gotten from my mom. My mom and I share book recommendations back and forth a lot. She got into audiobooks a little bit before I did, I think, but over the past, I would say like 5 years, we've both been super avid audiobook listeners. And so, especially with audiobooks, she will call me up and be like, hey, I just listened to this book. You've got to read it. And vice versa. I'll do the same with her. As soon as I finish a book, if I loved it, I'll call her up and be like, hey, I need you to read this so that we can talk about it. And it has been absolutely wonderful. It's a great way to bond with my mom. I've just absolutely treasured being able to share my love of reading and books with my mom. It's just something really, really special to me. And so I thought today I would share with you 8 different book recommendations that I got from my mom. Half of these are book recommendations. I actually texted her this morning and I was like, hey, I'm doing this video. I need book recommendations. What are some of your top book recommendations? And I took the ones that I had never heard of before and put them on this list. And then I have 4 other book recommendations that she has just talked about in the past that I had already added to my Goodreads TBR. So I had already wanted to read them. I'd been interested in them. I got the recommendation from my mom sometime in the past. She had talked about them. It sparked my interest. I added it to my TBR and I've never heard anybody else talking about them. So all 8 of these books I've never heard anybody talk about. 4 were specifically given to me today because my mom said she loved them and these are recommendations that she could stand by. And then 4 were just books that she's talked about in the past in some capacity that has sparked my interest enough for me to want to read them. So anyway, let's get into this list. I have them all written down. Yeah, and anyway, yeah. So the first one, I'm starting with the books that she recommended to me today. So these are books when I text her and I said, what are some of your favorite books of all time that you would recommend? These are some of the books that she came up with. And she's a little bit older than I am. So some of these are older books that were written before I was born. Hence why I've probably never heard of some of them. A couple of them she said were back probably ones that she read in college that she really enjoyed. And so anyway, these are some of her lifetime favorites that she shared with me. The first one is Thornbirds by Colleen McCullough. She said that this is an Australian forbidden love story, and that just sounded really fun. I was looking at the Goodreads on some of these and looking at some of the synopses, and it just sounded like it was just kind of one of those, like I said, forbidden romances where it's a little bit taboo, but it's really captivating. And a lot of the reviewers were saying it's completely captivating and you get caught up in the story and it's wonderful. So I want to read this one now. Another one that she said was one of her favorites from back in the day was Rich Man, Poor Man by Irwin Shaw. This is one that is about a family after World War II, and it's about a set of siblings. There's 3 siblings that it follows, and it just kind of follows what happens to them after World War II and what happens with their lives. One of them, I think, becomes pretty affluent and well off. One of them is not. And then I think the younger sister ends up running away, and so it kind of follows her, I'm thinking. But it sounded really fun, or interesting. I don't know if fun's the right word, but it did sound interesting. So I did put that one as well. I thought that would be interesting to read. Another one that was in her list of favorite books of all time, and I'm like, I had never heard of this book before, is called Vienna Prelude, and this is by Brock and Bodie Thoen, maybe is how you pronounce the author's last name, I'm not sure. But anyway, this is a first in a series. It is World War II historical fiction, and it follows members of an orchestra during World War II. So that just sounds like something completely up my alley. When she was talking to me about it, she said that I would absolutely love this, and so now I really, really want to read these because that just sounds fabulous to me. We all know how much I love historical fiction. I love books that have a musical element to them. So this just sounds amazing. All right. And then the last one that she recommended today, this one, it took her a while, she said, because she had to try to remember the name of it, because this is one that she read a long time ago. We'll just say that. A long, long time ago. But it's called Tunnel in the Sky, and it's by Robert Heinlein? Heinlein? I don't know. And it's an older book, obviously, but it is sci-fi. And it is about this group of kids who are in their survivalist class, and something happens, something goes wrong, and they end up on the other side of the universe and on the opposite side of the tunnel in the sky, and they're trying to figure out how to get back. And it's, yeah, it just sounded really fascinating, especially for a book that's older that tackles, like this. I've never read any sci-fi or dystopian other than like Animal Farm and that kind of stuff. But I've never read anything that was written before I was born. So anyway, I thought that one sounded like fun as well. The next four are all books that I had heard my mom talk about in some capacity that I had already added to my TBR previously. And the first of which is Finding Dorothy by Elizabeth Letts. This is a book that is about the Wizard of Oz. It's about L. Frank Baum, who wrote The Wizard of Oz, and kind of the origin of the Wizard of Oz. And it's told through the lens of L. Frank Baum's wife. And so anyway, my mom read this. She said it was absolutely intriguing and just fantastic the way that it just kind of explores how the Wizard of Oz came about and through the lens of his wife. It just makes it really interesting. So this one really piqued my interest. The next one is The Chilbury Ladies Choir by Jennifer Ryan. This was in a recent TBR of mine. I actually have it out from the library now. I don't remember where it is. Oh, there it is. So it's the Chilbury Ladies Choir, and this I checked out from the library because I had put it on my TBR for Quarantine-a-thon. And I don't know if I'll get to it or not, but this is about a group. It's about a men's choir in France, I don't know where, England. It's in England during World War II, and the men all have to leave to go to war, and so the ladies take over the choir. And it's just kind of about how they hold the town together and how the town survives through World War II, with the base of the choir being the storytelling, point. Anyway, moving on. The next one that I also recently checked out from the library, was Watch Me Disappear by Janelle Brown. This is another one that she talked about a while ago that she read and she said I would really like on audio. And I read the synopsis and it sounds like it's about a woman who is out hiking and she just disappears. The only thing they can find from her is a hiking boot. And it's about her husband and her daughter trying to figure out what happened to her years later. So yeah, that sounded interesting. And then the last one on this list, she just talked about very, very recently, and that is Unorthodox by Deborah Feldman, I think is her last name. And this is the book that the Netflix TV show was based off of. There's a Netflix miniseries or show or whatever out right now based off of this book, and it's all about the authors. It's a nonfiction book about the authors' experience leaving the Hasidic Jewish community. She was a Hasidic Jew. She left that community, and it's all about her experience with that. And so that just sounded fascinating to me, both the show and the book. My mom watched the show and read the book and said it was really, really interesting. And so that sounded like something that I would really enjoy as well. So those are the 8 books that I would like to read that were recommended to me by my mom. So if you have read any of these, like I said, all of these books I have never heard anybody else talk about before, other than maybe Unorthodox because it's, was made into a TV show. But I've never heard anybody here on BookTube talk about any of these books before. So if you have read any of them, I would love to hear your thoughts on them. If you've read them, let me know what you thought. These are all ones that my mom loved, and so I think that I would like to try them out. I don't know when I will get around to all of them, but we'll see. But eventually, someday, I would like to get to some of these. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on them. And yeah, other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And happy Mother's Day. See ya.